Hello everybody, welcome to Internetology. In today's episode, we'll be talking about social media and peer-to-peer learning. I'm glad that you're all tuning in today. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Katie Zimmerman. I'm a junior at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I'm studying psychology and sociology. And this podcast is for a course called The Psychological Effects of the Internet. If you'd like more information about me and what this podcast is about, feel free to tune in to our introduction episode. Now I'll be going over our episode overview. In today's episode, we'll be discussing how social media has enabled peer-to-peer learning. We'll be looking at how online learning platforms enable teachers to use social media to connect with their students and facilitate learning. Then I will be looking into where do people learn most of their information, which is online. Well, you're gonna learn that it's online. And also, how easy is it to find the wrong information online? And this also goes into how do we determine the credibility of sources that we find online? So, in the topic we'll be beginning with is how social media has enabled peer-to-peer learning. So, first off, it's important to note that people, due to social media and due to the internet, people are now able to connect with many more who share their similar interests and also can learn from them. So, I'm sure you've all heard of TikTok. TikTok is a social media platform that allows people to post videos and along with music. And there's a variety of content on there. I'm thinking, oh, nope. So this is TikTok. There's a lot of different stuff on here. Um, there's food, there's lots of food, I guess. People post a variety of stuff on here, and it's kind of silly, but regardless, I wanted to go over um, how TikTok well, this question that was asked was, is TikTok the future of learning? And so this article was written by Oxford Learning, and um, I thought this article was pretty interesting because, this is a question that not that many people I feel like ask, but it's a plausible question that I think is deserving of being investigated. So, according to the article, um, well, I guess they first off say too, you might think that TikTok and learning don't go hand in hand. However, the opposite seems to be true. Furthermore, TikTok might become the future of learning. If there's one thing that TikTok can teach us is that learning should be fun. Simple and useful educational content is fast and easy to access on TikTok, making it a great learning tool. There's an educational push on TikTok, and it's opening up avenues for teachers to connect with Gen Z in an entirely new way. Here's what you need to know about why TikTok works for education. First off, it increases student engagement. Because of TikTok's wide audience that is mostly within the younger population, like Gen Z, um, this article proposes that teachers would benefit from the engaging aspect that TikTok offers due to its interactivity, and the countless ways in which somebody can grab another's attention. Um, in the article here, it says that the popularity of TikTok's educational material fits into a trend towards microlearning in a larger context. Many Gen Z love microlearning rather than long duration courses. Microlearning boosts students' engagement with material, and TikTok is a perfect way of delivering microlearning. Um, I would agree with this. I do find myself when I use TikTok, which regrettably I use TikTok, but I noticed that, I really enjoy those videos that offer information about something that I might be curious on, and it's super easy to find that information on TikTok. Um, if you have a question, or you might just stumble upon it, and you can then go into a deep dive of certain questions, and people even make accounts that or I guess are people make accounts that like reflect the um like, or not reflect, but people make accounts that are on like certain topics. So for example, there's some TikToks out there that um are based on psychology. I know one TikToker that I enjoy um watching is Dr. Inna, who is a psychology professor um that came from Russia, and she has a bunch of TikToks that talk about a variety of different topics that are related to psychology. Um, and so there's things like that that make the information pretty accessible and also attention grabbing. Um, according to Oxford Learning too, the future of learning will be social. TikTok is a powerful educational tool because it's both a learning platform and a social network. And I don't know about the learning platform, but I think, in regards to the context and the material that's offered on the platform, I think that many many could use it as an educational tool. Um, here they say that there are some drawbacks to an TikTok education, which is that the average video length of 60 seconds prevents users from receiving a comprehensive education or developing more advanced abilities. However, it's been shown that Gen Z has a attention span of 8 seconds. Hence, the educational content presented on TikTok perfectly suits them to capture their interest. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. 8 seconds? Okay. Well, this is a blog post, so it's not even it's not even like an actual whatever. It's not even actual like based on scientific evidence. So just ignore that. This is a blog post, and this person is referring to a blog post in that. So take this information with a grain of salt. I'm just saying. um regardless of that terrible information that was provided, TikTok can be used within the classroom format in order to engage students and foster learning. So many teachers post on TikTok, and students, I guess teachers have shared some ideas on how they can foster student learning by starting lessons with TikTok videos and encouraging discussion, creating videos, um, can help create like after class summaries and encourage reviewing, and stitching videos, I guess, can allow students to interact with the teacher along with the content. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Um, so yeah, overall, I mean, this article is kind of silly. If I'm not lying, this article is pretty silly. But I thought it was an interesting, attention grabbing, my 8-second attention span grabbing article. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to share that. Next, I'll be talking about Twitter. And so, Twitter themselves has actually made this um, document that discusses how Twitter can be used and utilized, I guess, for teaching. So on page 8. So essentially, Twitter is saying that by using Twitter, you can foster digital literacy skills within a learning context. So Um, this table here illustrates the relationship on how social media, specifically Twitter, can be used for creative learning and about global citizen education. Oh, it also talks about that too, but it also talks about digital literacy. But I guess here, this is not where it's talking about that, but it's okay. That's okay. I guess here is kind of where I was talking about. Um, so being a good digital citizen and being aware of what you're posting online, what you're reading online, etc. So this is the table. So um, the purpose is that it encourages learners to analyze real life issues critically and identify possible solutions. um, how you would use Twitter is that Twitter is a resource that allows you to discover, evaluate, and analyze discussions or issues that are taking place online. Um, Learning actors can identify themes or topics that are specific interest to them and their learning objectives. From here, they can critically analyze and discuss the elements of the debate on that topic, the context, players, issues, or perspectives on the discussion. What is the most dominant narrative? Do all actors have equal access to the debate? Is it representative? And how does this influence policymaking? Um, there are a variety of ways in which we can design critical thinking activities that allow you to examine real world debates. Another one of the purposes is that it supports learners to revisit assumptions, worldviews, and power relations in mainstream discourses and consider people/groups that are underrepresented or marginalized. So I guess here they were discussing the similar topic of um, addressing these things by examining these discussions and issues online and reflecting on reflecting on their views and shaping the ways that they perceive the world as well as considering others. Another a goal is focus on engagement in the individual and collective action to bring about desired changes. The activities, as above, activities should be developed around the UN Sustainable Development Goals to explore with learners how individual or group brought about changes in social discourse or changes in the private sector or public policies. In carrying out these types of activities ensures balance between movements and actions that have been successful and why they may have not, and explore why they may not be the case. Involve multiple stakeholders, including those outside of the learning environment and in the community, is one of the goals for global citizenship education. How you would use Twitter is that you would use it as a tool for learning outside of the classroom as well as within the classroom. And you can explore what by, or I guess explore, learn by creating those learning experiences and integrating, well, from the outside world and integrating them into what you are learning about within the educational context. Um, and you could also reflect on the information received online via Twitter and the information within the classroom. So here they say, um, they explore what constitutes learning in this context. What information led to the learning? Is there a contradiction between what was learned online and um, the realities offline? Explore which stakeholders influenced the information, for what purpose, and did the learning benefit as a result of their input or no? Um, Later on, they discuss information literacy and etiquette and citizenship, digital citizenship. Um, I will not be going over this for respect of time, but essentially, Twitter can also be used to learn, like, I guess, foster digital learning or digital literacy within students by teaching them the ways in which information is broadcasted and communicated via an online platform, and then also considering the reliability or credibility of that information, um, which then can be utilized in an academic setting. So the next next, I would like to talk about Instagram. So here is an article that discusses how Instagram can be an education platform for um, EFL learners. And here in the article, they say that, well, in the study, they used a mixed methodology of 219 university students learning English. Um, and 80 students in an experimental part, which was designed to explore the impact of Instagram on students' language learning process. Um, the findings show that Instagram is the most frequently used social media platform among the participants, and they favor using it for educational and language learning purposes. Additionally, it was found that Instagram had a positive impact on students' language learning based on the achievement scores. Thus, it is concluded that Instagram can be used to enhance learning of English, supplementary to format teaching by exposing the students to language while they're using this platform as a way, as part of their everyday practices. Um, so, here in the discussion in the conclusion, um, it is evident that social media platforms have become an integral part of students' everyday practices, as also found within this study. From this perspective, it is argued that the intensive use of social media as part of a student's everyday lives, which in fact began with the introduction of Web 2.2 technology, could effectively be utilized for educational purposes, particularly in higher education contexts. As it was also revealed in this study, the students themselves believe that social media platforms, Instagram in this context, can be used specifically for educational purposes. So, in conclusion, in essence, the study found that students believe that the use of Instagram can foster their learning. And on top of that, using social media, or I guess Instagram in this context, as a supplementary tool for learning can promote um, or increase one's learning outcomes. The next topic that I would like to discuss in today's episode is how online learning platforms, which are social media like, enable teachers to connect with their students and facilitate learning. So, for those who have never heard of it, Edmodo is an, or I guess was, an educational technology platform for K through 12 schools and teachers. Edmodo enables teachers to share content, distribute quizzes and assignments, and manage communication with students, colleagues, and parents. So, I know I forgot about this program, I guess, or platform up until creating this episode. And I actually did use this platform when I was in middle school to learn, and my teachers would um, post content and homework um, on the Edmodo page, and then we were also able to make our own like group chat thingies and with your friends and discuss the what we were learning in class, but also just talk in general. And it was a really fun platform. And sadly, it did shut down in 2022. Um, but it was very, very popular, I guess. Well, I guess I don't know if it was popular, but my school used it, and I'm sure many other schools did use it. Um, for those who would like to know what it looked like, um, here is a photo of what it was. Um, so you would have your group chats, and I guess this is from the teacher perspective, but um, students and teachers could post questions and or assignments on here. Um, you could tag things for homework and assignments, um, and it was just a very communicative uh, learning platform that I think really kind of mirrored Facebook. And so, of course, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, Facebook's not really cool. But everybody loved Edmodo in my class and utilizing it. Um, so, yeah. I now want to go over a scientific journal article that I found when researching it. Well, when researching this topic. So, this article goes over the effect of Edmodo learning network on students' perception, self regulated learning behaviors, and learning performance. So, this article basically looked at students who were using Edmodo and students who weren't using Edmodo and looked at how they perceived their learning, how they regulated their learning, and learning behaviors, and also looked at their learning performance. Um, so, for the results, they found a positive effect of learning on students' performance when participating in learning in the online learning setting. Edmodo was used as a learning tool to engage grade 6 students in a writing class to improve students' achievement. They found that when students or the students who participated in Edmodo initially scored higher and also showed positive effect of Edmodo um, on not only on students' achievement but also on their learning. So Edmodo had significantly positive impacts on not only their achievement that they um, had, I guess, in the course, but also their learning process. More information about Edmodo. It's a free online learning management system and learning platform that provides a private virtual space for students and teachers to share and discuss text, images, audio, and video. Online space is considered as suitable for students to learn by directing their own learning to accomplish the assigned tasks. Students in the network, aka the Edmodo, were to follow up with class activities while managing their time to interact with friends and the teacher. The discussion among group members, facilitated by text and social interaction, increased the comprehension, thinking skills, and self directed response of students participating on Edmodo. As a result, self regulated learning behaviors of students in the network, aka Edmodo, were significantly improved. So, yeah, that's so the next topic I'll be discussing is where do people learn the most information, um, which is online. And I'll be referring to this article that was from the course. So here they say that um, overall, social media and news networks, or sorry, overall, social media and news organization websites and apps were used far more than the other three, aka um, family or friend, other search engines, to learn information online. Um, Additionally, people preferred one pathway over the others. Um, about 2/3 of online news consumers got news through the same pathway more than half of the times they got news. So, why I am discussing news? Because I think that learning information online via the news is a form of learning. Because you can learn a lot just by reading the news or I guess, absorbing information from the news. And so I think it's an important way to also analyze like if people are receiving their news from social media and online news organization websites or apps, then it's important to acknowledge that people are probably also using the social media and those sources to also receive or I guess find information online that fosters and promotes their learning or is used as a tool for their learning. Um, Importantly, it's also to important to consider is that younger online news consumers are more likely than old ones to get news from social media. So, in essence, younger individuals are consuming information via social media or online more than older individuals. And so, those who are probably more engaged within an academic setting of learning then are also using these types of platforms more and therefore learning more via social media and via other online resources. Um, so that's that article. The next article discusses news use across social media platforms. So here they say that um, the study found that 2/3 of Americans across news with sorry, I can't read. Access news on social media, with Facebook being the primary news or platform for news consumption. The study also found that younger generations are more likely to consume news on social media than any other generation. That we already kind of knew. Um, so here they talk about that. They talk about this information. They also go into who accesses the information online and the differences between that and um, again here you can see how Twitter is used a lot. Um, Instagram is also one of them that are being used. Or I guess they didn't change, but it's still being used. And people are using the internet, though, overall, to find information and learn information and get their news from. So, yeah. overall, I think that it's important to, again, consider how social media influences the media that we consume and the media that we are learning from, the educational media and materials that we're learning from. Um, and so, as you can see, that many people, many people, are sorry, are obtaining information via the internet, via social media platforms a lot. Um, so yeah, that's that article. That's that section of my podcast. The next topic I will be going over is how easy is it to find wrong information online. And this is important because if people are learning information from online sources, then you have to take into consideration the accuracy and credibility of these sources. So, in this study, called The Quality of Information Sources About Mental Disorders, a comparison of Wikipedia with centrally controlled web and printed sources. So, the study looked at um, 10 mental health related topics extracted from 14 frequently accessed websites. And the content was ranged by the following criteria: accuracy, up to dateness, breadth of coverage, referencing, and readability. The results showed that the ratings varied significantly between sources according to topic. Across all topics, um, Wikipedia was most highly rated in all domains except readability. In conclusion, the quality of information on Wikipedia and schizophrenia on Wikipedia is generally as good or better than that provided by centrally controlled websites um, and other printed sources. The next article I want to talk about is the credibility and trust of information in online environments, and the use of cognitive heuristics. So, I'm sorry, I have when I'm really anxious, I have a tic that it's hard to, um, it's hard to control, I guess. So, I apologize if that's annoying, but I'm sorry. Um, it's just something I can't really control. It gets really bad when I'm really anxious, so I apologize. Um, in the abstract, they discussed how, well, this is what the abstract says. Network digital media present new challenges for people to locate information that they can trust. At the same time, societal reliance on information that is available solely or primarily via the internet is increasing. This article discussed how and why digitally networked communication environments alter traditional notions of trust and presents research that examines how information consumers make judgments about the credibility and accuracy of the information they encounter online. So, the heuristics, this is the type of cognitive heuristics the researchers were looking into. Um, 109 participants who took part in one of the 11 focus groups conducted across geographically diverse areas of the US confirmed that in information rich environments, they often do not have the cognitive capacity or time to evaluate information systematically, and instead evoke a diversity of heuristics to evaluate credibility, loosely titled reputation, endorsement, consistency, self confirmation, expectancy violation, and persuasive intent. So now I'll be going over the types of heuristics that people use to determine the credibility of sources or information they find online. So the first one is the reputation heuristic. The reputation or name recognition of an online website or source serves as a heuristic credibility cue, allowing information seekers to avoid more effortful processing of information and sources online. The reputation heuristic is likely psychologically rooted in more basic heuristic principles of favoring recognized alternatives over less familiar ones. The second is the endorsement heuristic. The endorsement heuristic suggests that people are inclined to believe information and sources if others do, so also without much scrutiny of the site, content, or source. People tend to automatically trust sites and sources that are either recommended or by known others or that come from unknown persons in the form of aggregated testimonials, reviews, or ratings. Next is the consistency heuristic. Another common strategy for judging credibility is validating information by checking to see if information across different sources is consistent. Although checking more than one source of information requires more effort than the other heuristic strategies, it is still a relatively fast and frugal means of arriving at a credibility judgment relative to the more laborious methods of researching a source's credentials or last information update, considering potential bias, etc. Also, the validation process is often rather superficial. Evidence that shows that people typically look at very few sites to determine whether some information is consistent. The next heuristic is the self confirmation heuristic. The confirmation bias is a tendency to notice and place greater weight on information that supports one's beliefs, while overlooking or undervaluing information that refutes those beliefs. With regard to processing information online, several studies show that internet users tend to select content that is consistent with their attitudes and opinions, and that people tend to evaluate attitudinally consistent information more favorably than inconsistent information. The next is the expectancy heuristic, the expectancy violation heuristic. People often employ an expectancy violation heuristic when evaluating the credibility of information online, whereby if a website fails to meet their expectations in some way, they'll immediately judge it as non credible. The research done by Metzger shows that some forms of expectancy violations occur when websites ask for more information than necessary or provide more information than is requested, or when websites present users with something they did not ask for or that is unexpected. Most prevalent, however, are expectancy violations stemming from the presence of typos, grammatical errors, and also poor website design, visual appearance, or navigation, all of which result in strong negative credibility evaluations. Bad spelling, grammar, layout, and overall design are likely to decrease the evaluations of credibility. The next is the persuasive intent heuristic. The persuasive intent heuristic is the tendency to feel that information may be biased, is not credible. Commercial information is particularly susceptible to triggering this heuristic. The persuasive intent heuristic seems to be effectively based, arising from fears of unknown others' nefarious manipulation. Consequently, users try to detect ulterior motives that may underlie the information they find online. In many cases, people note that this is a primary cue that they use to determine credibility, often using it as a heuristic stopping rule for credibility judgments. So, in essence, these are the heuristics that we cognitively use to determine whether information is credible or non credible. However, in an ever time importance, I guess, in a world where information that's on the internet and the effort that people want to go or put into determining the credibility of a source, these all have implications to what we are learning online and how do we believe it, and the importance of recognizing when information is credible and is non-credible. And these heuristics are ways in which our brains help us decipher that fact. And I just overall thought this article was just really interesting because it really went into depth about these things. The next thing I want to talk about is Snopes.com. So this is Snopes.com. According to Snopes and the facts, search for facts in a post-fact world, The website is a reliable website dedicated to fact checking information online. The website was even listed as a partner in Facebook fact checking effort after Facebook had acknowledged it had become a conduit for fake news. So, in essence, Snopes.com, you can utilize Snopes.com to find information and fact check information in an easy, simplistic way. So, here, in light of Tucker Carlson being not working for, I think, Fox. I think he works for Fox anymore. I don't know. Oh yeah. So you can all these rumors online that you learn um, can be fact checked on whether or not they're accuracy. So, for example, I guess there's a rumor that says Elon Musk offered Tucker Carlson the job of Twitter CEO, and so this rumor was started by SpaceX lovers, and this person discusses the rumor and shows the facts and information and um, um, in order to debunk it, and also gives some background on the whole situation. So I think Snopes.com is pretty cool. You can find a bunch of different things, which again is important for learning. So now we're gonna go over the too long didn't read. So in today's episode, we discussed how people can now connect with others who share their interests and learn from them via social media platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. We also discussed how TikTok may present new ways for Gen Z to learn, how Twitter can help people learn digital literacy as well as global citizenship and digital citizenship, and Instagram can be used to help people learn language. Next, we talked about online learning platforms like social media like that enable teachers to connect with their students and facilitate learning. While it doesn't exist anymore, Edmodo offered a unique platform for learning. And this kind of goes to say that future online learning platforms can implement similar methods for fostering learning just as Edmodo did. And the study that we looked at, they found a positive effect of learning on students' performance and their achievement while they were participating in the online learning setting, aka Edmodo. Then we asked the question, where do people learn the most information? And we came to the conclusion that that was online. And this is because many people are using social media and the internet to learn about recent events and receive their news. And it's important to acknowledge this phenomenon and how it relates to learning information. Then we asked how easy it's to find the wrong information. And we said that Wikipedia was just as good as other online sources at providing information besides its readability. But other sources are less accessible, which means that this information is more accessible to other people and can help foster learning. Then we talked about how credibility and trust of information in online environments and the use of cognitive heuristics. And we came to the conclusion that information seekers often use a variety of heuristics to evaluate credibility, including repetition, endorsement, consistency, self confirmation, expectancy violation, and persuasive intent. These heuristics are used because people don't often have the time or the cognitive capacity to evaluate information systematically. People tend to trust sources that are recognized or recommended by others, are consistent with other sources, confirm their existing beliefs, and do not violate their expectations. The study also found that people are less likely to trust information that appears to have a persuasive intent or may be biased. Then we talked about Snopes, and I showed how Snopes can be a website that, if you're looking into how or whether or not the information is accurate online, you can do some fact checking on the website. And it is a reliable website that you can use. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and I'm glad that we all were able to talk and discuss this today. And I hope you learned some interesting things about the internet and also how we learn on the internet. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day or night or whatever time it is. And yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you next episode.